I brought a book, and this book is very inspiring for me. I'm a geriatrician and I'm a professor of aging, and I love it. And it was written while Napoleon ruled the country. And it was written while France occupied our country. And it was written when the life expectancy was less than 40 years. And my colleague, Professor Anthony Caroline, he had very good answers for questions we really have to answer in the medical world, in the modern medical world. The answer, how to grow old without diseases, and how to prevent age-related diseases, and how to avoid a career as a patient. And my colleague, my dear colleague, wrote this book in 1817, which means that's 202 years ago. That's amazing. Already answers for our questions today, that I'm a professor at the university to answer the questions. So what happened in the last 202 years? When we look back in 1817 and nowadays, we now know our life expectancy, it's much, much longer. So from 38 years, we are now going to 85 years, and then we have the ones who are now born who will be 100 years of age. So why is that happening? That's fantastic. It's happening because of two transitions. And the first transition happened already earlier, and that's hygiene. And we know all we have to wash our hands, hopefully you do that. And we know if you go as a surgeon, you go into theater, you wash your hands and you do it in a sterile position. Because we do not want to infect people with all the bacteria, make them thick and therewith die. That's the first transition. The second transition happened in the last 50 years. And that's also amazing. Like in the last 50 years, we invented all the therapies for all organs we have in our human body. If we go to an oncologist because we have cancer, they will have a treatment, very likely. If we go, because we have diabetes, we will go to an endocrinologist. They have medication and injections and etc. Amazing. If we have dementia, you will go to a neurologist. We don't have the treatment yet. But in the last 50 years, we invented so many interventions in terms of giving new treatments in forms of medication and going to a surgeon, just doing an open heart surgery, that life expectancy increased dramatically. But the question, of course, is why do we need all the doctors? And why do you need me? And that's the first question I would like to discuss with you just while reading a very short section of this book. So just remember, 202 years ago it was written or published. After the middle period of life, the creature is supposed to have fulfilled the command of nature for continuing its race, and the bodily fabric then begins to decline. The compactness and vigor of the flesh begins to diminish, and all the inward fitting and adjustments are prone to give way. the inward fittings and adjustments are prone to give away after you reproduced. So we are talking about a phase after your 25th birthday. And then everything is declining. And that's true. At the age of 25, your physical fitness, your cognitive fitness is rapidly declining. And then, if you reach, and it's very likely that you reach your 60th birthday, it's very likely 60% will have 2 or more chronic diseases. At the age of 80, 80% have 2 or more chronic diseases. And how is that happening? We invented in the last 50 years all the doctors. So if I have hypertension, I will go to the doctor, I will get the medication preventing me to die. Being at risk for the next disease, like diabetes. Going to the next doctor with a big smile, getting another medication. There was being at risk for another disease, getting other treatment. So therewith, we are inventing now, since around about 50 years, individuals who are accumulating diseases we are trying to treat with lots of medication, and it's very hard to die. It's nearly impossible, compared to the situation 202 years ago, to die because of our great investment into research. That means that we should celebrate that, of course, but it means also that we maybe have a problem, because if we grow old and we reach the age of 85 or 90, half of our life is in good physical and mental health. At the age of 45 to 50, dependent if you're a woman or a man, you will have the first disease. So your health span, the span in good health, is limited to that period of time. And then the trajectory of being a patient visiting me starts. So how can we avoid that? Because I don't like it. I'm a specialist in general medicine and geriatrics, and I don't want to see patients anymore, because then I really succeeded in doing the research. So the question arises, why are we so prone for age-related diseases, and why do we actually age? And my dear colleague, 202 years ago, has the answer. According to the laws of our nature, the modifications of every passing hour begin to endanger the healthful structure of the body as soon as its growth is completed. A likeness in the composition of its materials and the exact sameness of every texture in tissue cannot be expected to continue, because every part is daily wasting and repairing. The error of subordinate part will therefore by degrees encroach upon the organs essential to health, and the accumulation of such dearrangements soon declares us to be mortal. So what he is saying is, during our lifetime, we waste and we try to repair, and that's not functioning well. So there is more damage by using our body, by being exposed to chronological time, and therewith accumulating the damage in the molecules, in the cells, and therewith being prone to disease. So if we look, I'm a cell biologist, if we look into our cells, and that's so beautiful, and we compare cells from a young individual compared to an old individual, it's that we see so many changes just by using the cells over lifetime. If you look in the cell, you all know we have DNA. The DNA sometimes is broken. And depending on somebody's age, there are more lesions in the DNA. The telomeres, the end of the genes, they are getting shorter because the cell is replicating, and at a certain moment of time, they just say, I can't do it anymore. My telomere length is just too short. Our proteins, our cells make so many proteins. They are just disencouraged to be good. They are not very smooth. And if you have not smoothie proteins, you won't have a good outcome and a good cell function. And then we have the very lovely mitochondria, which makes so much energy now in your body and in my body. And these mitochondria, they are just a little bit lazy. They can't function anymore. They really need a rest. And if this all happens at this moment in time in my cells and your cells, then at a certain moment of time, a cell will say, okay, I'm still there. I try to avoid to remove myself. I will be there, but I won't divide anymore. And these are old cells, senescent cells, which accumulate in my body at this moment in time, and I know in your bodies too. And these cells are the origin of having more risk to die, but before dying, to have more diseases. And we now understand that the number of these cells, that these, of course, are associated with the chronological age. And they are also associated with the biological age. And the biological age is your real age. Forget your passport. Forget time. But look at this moment in time, at your body, how old you really are. Because dependent on if you choose your parents wisely, you are more likely to be a little bit older or a little bit younger. Your life expectancy and the risk of developing diseases is for 25% determined if you made the good choice or your parents. But 70% is in your hands. That's lifestyle. And 5% is just bad luck. But somebody, and already at the age of 25 to 30, if you take some cells of somebody who is biologically young, they also have less of these old cells. If you have a lot of diseases already, and especially at older age, you see more of these diseases. And we also now know that the ones with lots of diseases, for example, a stroke or a heart attack, these people have more of these damaged cells. So now, after so many years, and it's so exciting, we understand why we age. And then, of course, it's the question, why don't we do something about it? Why should I still be a specialist in internal medicine or being a geriatrician? Why can't we try to prevent age-related diseases? Why do we wait until a disease occurs and then going to the doctor and say, hey, I have a disease, can you fix me? No good. And also for the last part, how we could do it differently, my colleague has an answer. He writes, according to my observations, the disorders of senility may often be relieved and our declining years extended far beyond the ordinary number of sound management and prevention. So how do we prevent that you will be my client in the end? There are three things. There's lifestyle. I won't talk about lifestyle. You all need to know that you have to move and you have to eat fruit and vegetables. You don't smoke, never smoke. And drink a little bit of alcohol, but not too much. Because if you all do these four things, you will already, by yourself, extend your lifespan by 18 years. 18 years, it's in your hands. But there are two other things which are so novel. The first thing is, can we already use drugs which are already on the market for decennia? Can we reuse them to make me and you younger, or to slow down our aging trajectory? Yes, we can do that. For example, take metformin. Metformin is a very, very often used drug for diabetics. And what about if we just take that drug and give it to me or the ones in the room who do not have diseases yet, to see if we can slow down the aging trajectory by making the production of all the synthesis, making it smoother. In animals, it already works, and it's now tested in humans. And it's not just metformin, but it's also rapamycin, it's lithium, etc., etc. There are a couple, like 20 medicines, who are at the moment tested to see if we can prevent the deterioration which occurs from the 25th onwards. And of course, there's another novelty. Why can't we produce drugs? And why are we so resistant in doing that? To make us younger again. And of course, if we think about new therapeutics, we can think about, hey, there was the old senescent cell. Can we remove these cells to slow down the aging process and prevent the age-related diseases? Yes, and it works. It works in animals. New medicines called senolytics have been tried out in the last 10 years. And in the last 5 years, many studies show that if you are, just imagine, if you are a very frail mouse, you get that drug, you will be young again. Not young chronologically, but in terms of your function. Imagine if you're a mouse and you will get chemotherapy, you don't like that, and you get that additional drug. I won't say that you then are a happy mouse, but functionally, you are quite good. It seems that the resilience, it's much higher if we give the drugs. This means that, hey, even if somebody is already sick and old, we can then make them younger. And if you give the drugs in young mice, they will keep young. These drugs have now been tested in the US because there it's allowed in human beings. 2 weeks ago, there was the first publication, the landmark, the next stepping stone for a new area of human medicine, that these drugs are safe to give in human beings. Which means that now we have the stepping stone to test it in old individuals or young individuals who do not want to get older, who want to prevent the aging trajectory, to be young and healthy for a longer lifetime, to extend the health span. And I'm not against death. but having that period of deterioration, of decline, of memory concerns, of physical concerns, to minimize that, to actually looking forward to a very nice death. I would like to ask you to take care of your body. You just have one. I will take care of my book.